Hello, I am Tamim Nashnoosh, and my partners are Luis Alfaro and Hayden Poston, and this is our game Alliance. In our game, players will be assigned 5 roles. And these 5 roles are the thief, detective, banker, civilian, and spy. However, to play, you don't necessarily need a civilian, but the other roles are mandatory. But adding a civilian makes it more fun and more competitive. And there can only be one detective, one banker, and one spy. And the other the other roles can have multiple players. Games will be played for a set amount of rounds that are set at the beginning of the game, but we recommend that players play 10 rounds just because from our play testing we found this to be the perfect amount of time to allow just everybody to experience, I guess, every aspect of the game, and while still keeping it fun, not making it too boring. Within these 10 rounds, players must achieve their objectives to win, and each player has a different objective. So for example, the banker doesn't really have an objective. The banker cannot win. The banker is simply a moderator. Then the thief must collect $3,000 by the end of these 10 rounds without getting caught. And the detective has to catch the thief. That's the detective's objective. And if the thief is caught, then the thief loses 3 rounds, and that's basically almost a third of the game. The civilian's goal is to help the detective catch the thief, and keep their money over $1,500 by the end of the game. So they should also be focused on collecting money as well as helping out the detective. And then there is the spy. And the spy has a bit of a nuanced role. The spy can either choose a side to make an alliance with, and can choose between helping out the detective to catch the thief, or the spy can choose to help the thief escape, and basically makes an alliance and helps them in secret. So the way roles are assigned is that the banker assigns roles blindly by handing out cards, and whatever card you get is the role that you get. So once cards are chosen, everybody closes their eyes. Then the banker tells the spy to open their eyes, and then the spy basically has to choose between helping out the detective and helping out the thief. And the banker tells them who each player is, so the spy knows who he is helping. However, this is kept secret between the spy and the banker, so nobody else knows. And players essentially start with $500, and basically they're all players are meant to keep their identities hidden, or else this will basically spoil the game. And players will take turns rolling dice and moving across the board, and they will pick up cards that correspond to the color of the tile that they landed on, and this will be expended upon later. At the beginning of the game, the banker hands out $500 to each player and then assigns the roles blindly. Now let's take a look at the roles.
First role is the detective. The purpose of the detective is finding who the thief is. On the card it says spy, and that's a typo. The second role is a thief. The objective of the thief is to obtain $3,000 without getting caught.
And then third is the spy. The spy's objective is to successfully sabotage the side that you want to help out. So for this simulation, the spy is going to make an alliance with the detective, and the spy has to keep this alliance secret. The only people that should know about the alliance is the banker.
And the banker obviously just gives the money to everyone.
And moderates the game. So to determine who goes first, players will take turns rolling the dice once, and whoever gets the highest number will go first.
Okay, so for example, I'll roll to see what role I get.
As a detective.
As a detective. A detective got a 2.
All right, now as a spy, we could roll and see what the spy gets. All right, spy got a 4.
And the thief rolls, and the thief gets a 3. So the spy will go first. Yep.
So the spy goes first because the spy rolled the highest card. Okay, so the spy rolled a 6. So we'll move 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so because the spy rolled and landed on a red spot, then the spy has to draw the card of the corresponding color. So in this case, it'll be red. This red card says that the stock market dropped, and it says I lost $500 as a spy. So now I put $500. I lose $500. So because the spy lost $500, they have to put $500 in the middle.
Next, it's the thief's turn. So the thief
Because we go clockwise.
Yes, we go clockwise. So the thief will roll, and the thief got a 6 as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the thief also draws a red card. And in this, it says you step on a crack and wreck him with his back, you lose $500. So now I put $500 in the middle.
Oh, that's the detective's money.
Oh crap, my bad. So the thief put his money in the middle, and it is now the detective's turn. So he rolls, and he got a 2. So 1, 2. So this time they landed on a green card, and a green card. Whenever you land a green card, you gain money no matter what. So I'm gonna draw one. He's gonna draw one, and if you've crossed the board once, gain $200. So he has not crossed the board, so he will therefore not gain $200. I go.
Okay, so now it's the spy's turn again, and the spy rolls, and the spy rolled on a 6 again. So he moves forward 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1 sec. All right, 4, 5, 6. Okay, the spy landed on the gray card. So gray cards are kind of special because what you do when you land on a gray card depends on your role. So for example, on this card, if the civilian lands on it, then he basically has a lucky streak and he takes the path of fortune, which we'll explain later. If the detective lands on it, he rolls twice next turn. If the thief lands on it, they lose their turn. And if the spy lands on it, then sabotage isn't good. So basically forces the spy to take the path of misfortune, which will be explained next round. So the spy just waits here.
All right, it is now the thief's turn. He rolls the dice, and the thief got a 5. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The thief lands another red spot. So I draw a card, and you're being sued. You owed $100. Now the thief has no money in the simulation, and in that case, you don't go in the negatives or anything. Just nothing happens on that red card. All right, it is now the detective's turn. So he rolls, and the detective gets a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the detective lands on a gray space, and he picks up a gray card. And on this gray card, like stated before, it has different instructions for each role. So for example, the civilian says lose a turn, and the detective says take the path of fortune. The thief rolls twice next turn, and spy take half the money of the player of your choosing. So it's the detective's turn, so he takes the path of misfortune. So the detective moves to the closest one, which is here.
And then else that should also be clarified is the thief is a little sneaky. The thief can choose to either do the thief's role or the civilian's role. So that way they can try and blend in and kind of I guess this is where the strategy plays a role, and they could um, decide which would benefit the thief better.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's the spy's turn again, and the spy is on the path of misfortune. So each dash on the path of misfortune and the path of fortune represents a spot basically. So you roll the dice like so. Oh, there we go. And I landed on a 1. So that means I move 1 space. And basically for each dash that you land on that is red, you pick up a red card. And that's why it's a path of misfortune, because basically you could end up losing a lot of money on this path. Now onto the path of fortune.
Okay, so the path of fortune is basically the same as the path of misfortune, except for each dotted line, it's a green, so you draw a green card. And as we know, green cards, you gain money for each one. However, in the path of fortune, there's a special perk where if you get in the middle, you can take all the money that people have lost. However, if you pass over it, you gain nothing. So, you're not guaranteed to just get a huge sum of money, like just being on the path of fortune. Also, when you're on the path of fortune, if you pass over the money, then you teleport to the next entrance to the path of fortune, and then you move on in the board. So, for example, let's say the detective rolls 5, and he lands the money like woo, right? And then after that, he rolls a 2, right? So he would teleport over here, but that would not count as like a dice roll. So it would go 1, 2, and then you'd move on, and that basically explains the path of fortune. It's the same for the path of misfortune as well. The path of misfortune, you cannot pick up the money. That's why it's the path of misfortune. So you will always pass it over. And it's the same. If you roll a 5, you land the money and you don't get anything, obviously. And then you get a 2, you teleport to the next entrance, and then 1, 2, and then you land over here. And yeah. Okay, so we have fast forwarded in the game, in the simulation, to where the thief is about to win, as you can see in the bottom right, where he has all this money, and the detective has landed on a great card. So, detective draws a great card, and on this card, if you look closely at the detective, it says, say you think the thief is, and if he's wrong, lose 500. Now, at this point in the game, it'd be a great time to use discussion card.
Discussion cards are yellow cards that are right here that are given to players at the beginning of the game, and each player is given 2. This is where a lot of the strategy in the game is incorporated. Players here will once they play their discussion card, they'll have 90 seconds to be able to basically interrogate, or in this case, the detective will have 90 seconds to interrogate the other players to see who the thief is, and we'll basically be able to ask questions, and depending on, I guess, how skilled you are or how much you've played the game, that's where you get a sense of what are the best questions to ask, and what are like key indicators that will help you to make your plea and guess who the thief is.
And also be aware that not just the detective can play this card. Any role can play this card at any given time when they feel like it. Even the thief can play this card to throw people off balance. That's another strategy you could use in the game.
Yeah. So basically, discussion cards really help to separate the masters from the beginners.
Now, the discussion is over, and in this simulation, the detective caught the thief. So now the thief can't move for 3 turns. He's jailed, and it is the 9th turn of this round, which basically means it is essentially game over for the thief, which means the alliance of the detective wins, and that's the end of the game. And that is our game alliance. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.